And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com. As always, visit our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Use the app, and they will deliver it right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. Or go down to Dayton, Kentucky, tell them to put up, and save yourself 15%. Get you some chicken strips, some chicken dippers, some delicious fried chicken, and all the other amazing stuff on the menu from our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken.
All the fixins.
All the fixins. And make sure while you're there, get yourself a bottle of the Galactic sauce, and then you bring it home, and then you put that shit on everything.
Yep.
It is what it is.
I need a new one. The power outage took mine out.
That's you gotta get that in a cooler immediately. All right, let's get moving. We've got a couple important topics to get to today.
Sure.
We'll start with what happened first by a couple minutes. Not very long apart were these two topics that we're going to be talking about today. That was Jared Hensley entering the portal after 2 years with the Bearcats basketball program. He followed Wes Miller from UNC Greensboro. And honestly, Aaron, it always felt like for me with Jared, the biggest obstacle was confidence.
Yeah, I think he got in his own way, honestly. I thought that there were a couple different points where he could have really taken off. Most probably his ceiling was at the end of his first year, as he really started to seemingly find his groove. And then the offseason happened, and he never really got his swag back in the second year.
Yeah, the weird part is, like, the best stretch that he had was
with a broken hand.
When he broke his wrist.
Yeah.
And then played like 6 games with his broken wrist, and that was the best stretch that he had. You just never, especially this past season, it just never felt like he found his groove. He never got comfortable. He never really established a consistent role with this team. And, you hate to see that because he's a great kid. He worked his butt off.
Right.
He had the physical tools, but sometimes it just, for whatever reason, it just doesn't come together. In past iterations of life in college basketball, he probably would have been given through his senior year to figure it out. But in the transfer portal era, that's not how it works anymore. And, he's going to get a chance to go somewhere. My guess is he drops down a level. And as he drops down a level, he might not ever be like a number one on a team. But I think at a lower level, he can absolutely be a starter level guy, or, a first or second guy off the bench that gives somebody a really good player for the next 2 years. So
I wouldn't be surprised to see him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick around in like the American or something like that. That said, my favorite thing about Jarrett Hensley was honestly kind of the same thing that we said about Kalu, where he lost playing time. And even in losing playing time, he was one of the first people always off the bench, like always had a smile on his face, was always down for the guys who were on the court. When his number was called, even as the season progressed, and maybe he was maybe he was looking at a medical red shirt. His number was called upon, and he still came out and did what he had to do. He could have been another one to leave the team at any point in time this season if he was just one to, give up on what was going on here with this team this year and get frustrated with the lack of playing time. But he wasn't that guy. Instead, he was a guy who was down for this team. And you wish it would have played out differently, especially when you saw the stretch that he had at the end of last season. But unfortunately, you don't have time to develop players as you're going into the Big 12, especially when you have a couple projects already that you're waiting to see what blooms, and it just kind of became a situation of numbers.
Yeah, it's a numbers game in college basketball, especially. We see it a little bit in college football with that 85 scholarship limit, but 13 in college basketball, if a guy goes through 2 years as a developmental guy and he's not ready to become kind of a starter level guy, it's probably best for both parties to look in a different direction. You will never hear me say a bad word about Jared Hensley.
Agreed.
I enjoyed getting to know him. I enjoyed watching him in practice because he was always engaged. He was always a guy that was going 100 miles an hour and doing whatever Wes Miller and staff asked of him. So I wish him extremely well.
I wish everybody listening could have actually gotten to see him flying at the rim.
Yeah.
Like, we never got to see the electric dunks.
There were a couple.
Maybe
he had
2.
one on Houston.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, he had one on Houston. He had a couple.
I'm just saying,
yeah,
he could really throw down, and I wish he was able to do that, because I think it would have blown the top off of everything if he had been given that opportunity a bit more.
And could potentially have kickstarted that confidence. Like that, again, that was just the thing that I kept waiting to manifest itself. And unfortunately, it never did. So that leaves,
happy trails.
Yeah, I will be following him, and I wish him well. That leaves now 2 spots open. If you remember, many, many moons ago, I have been saying for a long time, there would be at least 2 spots open and maybe a third. And I can now reveal Jeremiah Davenport, Jared Hensley, and potentially Landers Nolly. Those are the 3 I have been talking about for ages. Obviously, kids are allowed to make their own decisions, and we respect that. And I'm not going to jeopardize a kid having the opportunity to do that, and we will never do that. So he was loved by his teammates, was a guy that did everything he could in his 2 years in the program, and a guy that I ultimately hope has a lot of success wherever he lands. And then shortly after Jared Hensley jumped in the portal, got word that Ben Bryant was entering his name in the portal. Now, I will make this clear as we start this conversation. I was told, the minute that I was told that Ben Bryant was going in the portal, I was also told there's a decent chance that he is a Bearcat when we get to higher ground. So this is not a definitive Ben Bryant is leaving. This is, at this point in Ben Bryant's career, a wise business decision. He has a grad transfer remaining. He can transfer out of the program as a grad transfer and not have to sit out. When we've talked about this in the past, the thing that never made sense to me was how would Emory Jones grad transfer out or transfer out after just transferring in? And the NCAA saying they're going to crack down on the multiple transfers and, giving guys the ability to do something like what this would be, where you transfer in, you go through spring practice, and then you transfer out and you go somewhere else. That was going to be very difficult for Emory Jones. For Ben Bryant, the path to exploring his options is much different and much more clear. You go into the transfer portal and you listen to what people have to say. And if there's a situation that's too good to pass up, you explore it and potentially take it. But both of these guys are 6-year guys, Ben Bryant and Emory Jones.
Right.
Both of them are done with college football. And guess what? Both of them have dreams and aspirations of being a pro quarterback after this year. So their livelihood for the next however many years depends on largely what they do this season in college football. So if you're looking at this as business, and guess what? Now more than ever, it's a business for the players. It's always been a business for the coaches. Now more than ever, it's a business for the players, and they have to make these decisions as business decisions. So Ben is going to explore his options, as he should. Do I think he'll be back as a Bearcat? I don't know. From what I've been told, I hear there's a 50% or better chance that he is here competing this job. But even if it's 52-48, you go and find out what your value is now that you have the opportunity.
I still wouldn't be surprised if we see another quarterback jump in the portal, honestly. But that said, Ben Bryant jumping in the portal, I think it had to happen. One or the other had to jump in the portal. And if Emory can't jump in the portal, you have to explore your options. Why wouldn't you explore your options? I know that some people are clamoring that, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here.
Stupid.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's the fact that he's fighting for his life. You brought in Emory, and he's not going anywhere. So maybe Ben respects Emory enough that if he can't leave because he's kind of stuck, then he is offering him the chance to go ahead and start because he respects him that much. I mean, I don't know.
He's offering, like, if he comes back, he's gonna Ben Bryant. He has fought tooth and nail for everything since he got here.
My point is, maybe he entered the portal because Emory can't, and he's
Emory could. There's just more challenges if he did. Well, is what I'm.
In any case, I think that if Ben ends up back here, I think that gives you the best opportunity at a backup. Ben went down last year. I don't know if Emory has a history of injuries or not.
He missed a good chunk of last year at Arizona
That's
State.
what I thought. So you have two guys who had injuries last year, and you have a great backup that isn't Evan Prater. We kind of got a little taste of that last year. You also have a situation where if this offensive line is not good at pass protecting, if Ben wants the best opportunity for himself to show off what he can do you really want to do that behind an offensive line that may not be very good? I mean, I'd rather be a mobile quarterback behind an offensive line that may not be very good.
Right.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of layers to this, and
the biggest layer that we haven't mentioned yet is that in this equation, nobody thought, and we've talked about this, nobody thought Ben was going to be able to participate in spring football, other than just taking a snap and throwing some one-on-one routes. Nobody thought that he was going to be at a point where he was going to be a full participant in the spring game,
including himself.
I talked to him in January, and he was like, we were talking about, because he had every intention of entering the draft at the end of last season. And when he broke his foot, the concern was not going to be ready for the combine, not going to be ready for pro day, not going to really, be able to give himself a chance to compete for a late round draft pick. And that's one of the main reasons he came back. And I mean, I don't know. I look, there's a lot of people that showed their ass today on Twitter. And I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it here. That kid's a Bearcat. Die hard. If you have a problem with Ben Bryant, maybe check the mirror, because the problem is you. Because that kid has given his all for everything every day that he's been here. Oh, well, he transferred. You know why he transferred? Because the coaching staff early in his career basically said, remember, they came from Ohio State, and they said, here's what Joe Burrow did at Ohio State. here was the plan. You graduate in 3.5 years. If you haven't won the job at the end of that, then you transfer and you go somewhere else and you play. What they didn't expect was that he would go to Eastern Michigan, and the entire time he was at Eastern Michigan, he wanted to be back here. Like they didn't, nobody kind of saw that curveball coming. And that's why he started having conversations with somebody that's on a podcast on this network that usually airs on Thursday nights, but might be on Tuesdays, but we'll figure that out. He started having those conversations with a friend of his that, damn, I want to beat Cincinnati. That's why he came back. And if he's got to make a business decision now and somebody wants him to come be their starting quarterback and they want to throw some NIL money at him to do it, more power to you, young man.
Good luck.
But for the people that want to continue to dump on Ben Bryant, honestly, I feel sorry for you. Like, you're in this for the wrong reasons. If that's the kid you want to dump on.
Well, kind of like we talked about last night, this fan base, I think, is in for a rude awakening with Big 12 and how recruiting goes and how transfers go. And
there's some real life that's about to smack some people in the face.
We often talk about being day one ready, and that the fan base, I don't think, is quite there yet.
The large majority of the fan base is. The problem is, I think the people that are causing the most ruckus are just assholes to begin with.
Squeaky wheels. Something about squeaky wheels.
Yeah. Well, I wish they wouldn't get the grease. I wish they'd just pop off and roll away. That's gonna do it. That's the nightcap. Good show, Aaron. We'll see you sometime soon. There's a lot going on, so who knows when this what our day off is, what our day off not is. I won't be here on Saturday, I can tell you that. It's the nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!